In this video, we will show you how to replace your outer tie rod end on this Honda Accord. This will be located inside of your front wheel well. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Safely raise and support the front end of your vehicle so the wheels are off the ground. We'll continue on to removing all 5 of our 19mm lug nuts and then the wheel. With the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our outside tie rod end. To remove this from the power steering rack, we're going to continue at the 24mm jam nut. While turning this clockwise to remove it or loosen it from the outer tie rod end, we'll be holding the outer tie rod end still, using a 19mm. Use my 24 right here, my 19mm wrench. There we go. I've got the jam nut broken free. We can pause on that jam nut and make our way to the outer nut, which holds the outer tie rod end to your steering knuckle. Commonly on the outer tie rod end stud, you'll find that you have a locking cotter pin that makes its way through the hole in the tie rod end. Remove that cotter pin and set it aside for recycling. You want to make sure that you replace these with a brand new one. We'll use a 17mm right on the nut here. A quick inspection, we'll set that aside. At this point, you would want to continue on with a tie rod separator, something that can separate the tie rod end from the knuckle. If you don't have the specialty tool, you can also continue on with a hammer. Give the knuckle a couple bonks right along this area. We're being careful not to damage anything else, such as the backing shield for the brakes or anything the like. After that's removed from the knuckle, we'll continue on by turning the outer tie rod end counterclockwise. We're going to be removing it from the power steering rack. To do this, you'll find that it will take several turns, so keep track of that and then write it down someplace. 1, 2, and so on. Let's remove the jam nut from this area. You'll find that your new tie rod end comes with one. We can set this aside. Now we'll install that new jam nut. Just go ahead and put it back on here, approximately 3/4 of the way down the threading. Let's continue on with some copper anti-seize right along this threaded area here. Just a little bit on there. Now we can install our outer tie rod end. Let's start this on here. Once you have it on, you're going to want to make sure that you continue turning it the same amount of threads as it took to remove the original. 1, 2, and so on. Make sure you have this facing straight down. You can remove that castle nut if you have that on there. Let's continue on to putting this inside the steering knuckle. You can turn this as needed. There we are. Install your castle nut along the bottom. We'll snug that and then torque it to 32 foot-pounds. Once you have it torqued, the next thing you want to pay attention to is the slots that are on the mounting nut and the hole that goes through the stud of the outer tie rod end. You want to make sure that those are aligned. We have to put a cotter pin through here. If for some reason it's not aligned properly, Continue tightening that nut until the very next slot is. Slide that right through there. Once you have the cotter pin through the hole, make sure you peen it over so there's no way this nut can loosen up on you while you're driving down the road. Now we can move along to tightening our jam nut. We'll turn this counterclockwise until it's bottomed out against the outer tie rod end. Once you've done so, hold the outer tie rod end still and continue snugging that mounting nut. Let's just make sure these are nice and tight. Now we can get the wheel up on here. We'll start on all 5 of our lug nuts and bottom them out. With the wheels safely on the ground, we'll torque each of these lug nuts in a crisscross manner. This side's torqued. Go over and do the exact same thing to your other side wheel. Okay friends, we've got our tie rod installed in the vehicle. At this point, you want to take your vehicle for a road test down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.